Good afternoon, good evening, Value First Nation, and welcome to another episode of Value First AI Daily. Still your collaborative intelligence report. Happy Tuesday. It is July 21st, 2026.
That it
So good
is.
to be coming back live with you, Nico.
It is. It
How you
is.
doing, man?
Doing well. Um, loving, loving the platform right now. Loving the plateau of AI. Definitely amazing to be back, and perfect timing, I think, as well. And we were just talking about how it's to me. I get into these grooves where, like, the limitations, the resets, the token limitations, like, we're starting to become a thing. And then you like figure out these little, slip and jab maneuvers with like the harness, or you figure out like just a different way of going about coding altogether, or you figure out a more efficient way of building from the bottom up, or something. Like every time the limitation hits, I figure out this new like way to get past it. But then this paradox follows right behind it, where it's like, oh, okay, well, now that I've figured out how to cut my costs even lower, let me just go on these long-term horizon tasks now and like just completely start doing, way more than I was doing before. So it to me, it's this additive thing, right? Where even if you kept giving me, if you gave me like infinite tokens, I would figure out what to use them for, right? Like, but at least I guess I could say that at least it's in that realm, but like it's getting used towards making things better, let's say.
Right.
But yeah, it's definitely a wild ride right now.
Yeah, it it is. And starting, I mean, if you weren't surrounded by it before, um, it's you are now. I mean, like, um, uh, before we get into the news, because it's like the value the value of doing the show and why we do the show is like we want it to benefit you, but like it helps keep us like in the loop in a way that not much can. Um, so that when things like this drop, um, we're just so much more ready than everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And then like it's probably like to the fact that even like if you saw what the name of this update was in HubSpot, you probably wouldn't even know. You wouldn't have known to connect it to one of Dharmesh's announcements from like 5 months ago, right? Like this just dropped this week and it's vibe coding in HubSpot, like from Breeze, and it's a private beta. You got to go to the special URL. Like, how cool is that? Like, how, like, we don't have to feel bad that we're doing stuff and like, I don't remember where it is. So just go right to this URL. I'm not even going to worry
I mean,
about
like
like,
this, like to me, this is just that thing. We just taught a class. We just taught a mini series on how to do this outside of HubSpot. And now you can do like, and we were telling everybody when we started building the class out, from the month before we built the class out to like the week before, we're like, well, we got to change these two things because this is different now. And like there were a couple things where we're like, we shouldn't even really get into this because it's actually going to get outdated in like a couple days, or in most cases you could just do this now just by asking Claude. But showing some of the basics, right? Still want to show some of the stuff from underneath. And we were doing it from the perspective of like, okay, either you're in HubSpot and you need to get external data from a system, so you need to use like an external LLM call, or you're outside of HubSpot and you want to use HubSpot data in order to develop some type of tool that you then use to augment or do whatever to your HubSpot data. And now, like, that's just in here, right? So, I mean, I keep trying to impress upon people that features are not moats anymore. Like, they just aren't. They're not ever going to be, like, ever into the future. It's never going to be the case that a feature is going to be the moat that blockades someone from being able to, like, do the same thing that your software platform can do, or anything to that degree. There's no limitation now. Like, in my opinion, like, software stack becomes this thing where it's almost like a matter of time and a degree of spend to determine whether or not you want to. I mean, look at it. We're looking at a CRM. Okay, I guess you could say that the definition of CRM has changed. Did you guys even realize that? Like, HubSpot does actually change the definition of CRM. I can't really call it that. I can call it a business tool. Like, that's pretty much what I would call it. And they'd be
Yeah.
smart to start doing the whole business in a box thing, right? Because at this point you have your marketing tools. So you have your outbound, you have your inbound because you have all your automation tools, and now you have your prospecting. So you have your inbound track, you have your finance tools, you have your sales tools, you have your service tools. Like, there's really, you have your reporting tools. There's really not much missing from this overall package. And now whatever was missing, I'm assuming you can just sort of build it out, right? So, and it's only going to continue to get like this further into the future, right? It's never going to go backwards. This isn't going to go away, right? Like, it's gonna get released eventually, even if it takes like 6 months or something like that. It will still eventually get released, right? And
I mean,
it's
it's
gonna
private
go.
beta right now, and like they're open with how fast they're going. They all say buy in Unbound, no matter
Mhm.
what they're doing, like no matter what the product managers are working on. And what's interesting, they have access to these tools too. And if they want it done by Unbound,
Right.
they can get it done by Unbound. And like, and what I mean by like the learning curve and just engaging in the content and building, and again, the whole point of last week at the boot camp is like I saw this and I'm like, oh, I know what I'm gonna do with that. Right. Not only do I know what I'm going to try with it, I know my HubSpot is ready for it because I've got a bunch of agents and AI working to clean up the data architecture, make it more robust, put the context where it's supposed to be, but not in a bunch of 65, like not try to play with how I'm going to get the transcripts in there because those are in somewhere else. And you start like, this is all learning from like 8 months of doing this to the point where like Nico was just looking at the main brain prior to the call. And now I come in and ask Breeze, like not connected to the main brain repo, right? And I asked Breeze because I've already done this a couple times and I need a little help on some other ideas. So I was like, "Hey, Breeze, based on what you know about me, what do you think uh, me dream app might be to build on a HubSpot page?" Uh, your dream app to build on a HubSpot page is probably a value flow scorecard plus signal center. Um, where is value getting stuck? What signal matters right now? Which relationships need attention? Like, and like this aligns with what Nico and his agent team was finding out just by looking like at the main brain. So there's a few here. Complexity trap detector is one of them. And that's the one that, again, just the moment, even though like I have I've been doing this for months, right? Like I the ability to take a minute and just say, "Can you see the current page?" Let's just double check that you can see the current page.
Right.
Like there is no worst case scenario, if you ask that question, like worst case scenario is like, oh, here's a screenshot. Like, but it's usually going to come if it does say yes, instead of assuming, it's going to develop some more context for itself as it does say, oh yeah, I can see that. It's got these apps, which I wasn't caring about these apps, but if it can see that too, great. So now I'm going to grab this prompt. If you want it more you, here's a more branded version. Uh, so you better let me, yeah, thank you. Um, if you want, I can give a more technical build it, clean MVP version, all the things. And I hit improve earlier. It takes a minute, so I'm not going to do it right now. That's why I have this conversation here, right? So we're going to let that build. And it's like, I don't use the word vibe coding lightly. Like it's literally going to, we're going to talk on the left and it's going to build the app on the right. Like that's what I've always known to be vibe coding, like as a minimum experience. Like,
Yeah.
and so that's inside of HubSpot right now, right? And like I just that's why we're doing this every day. Like it's in the portal. And like, yeah, maybe it'll cost some credits someday.
Ooh, oh yeah.
You can build a lot before that day comes.
Yeah, you definitely could. Yeah, I mean, if we were just talking about on the Value First Collective, we were talking about what happens to like the positions within agencies right now. And I gotta say, like, if you are not, we've been saying it for a while, but it's like, do you not see that these tools are getting to be like more advanced and more like, I don't want, like, the best way I can say it is like beyond you, right? Like if you're one of those people that like, oh, I'm not, I just, there's no point in me learning how to vibe code. There's no, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, I've run into interview after interview after interview this week, and they all say the exact same thing every single time, which is the only way to move forward with anything. If you have any uncertainty about your job, any uncertainty about like your field, about what you're doing or whatever, the only way you're going to move forward is by actually understanding and learning and developing your skills with AI. It's not going to happen any other way. It really isn't. Like it's a lot of all the traditional methods of solving problems are really out the window. I mean, I put together an article like a couple weeks ago about how this very tool circumvents, like this starts to circumvent that internal development pipeline that keeps getting backed up, right? We can't get XYZ tool internally. We've put in the request with the dev department, but whatever, it's behind XYZ, who knows how many projects. And then they always get bombed with, hey, we need to see a test for this or whatever, right? And all of a sudden you never get the tool you need, or even when you get the tool, getting updates to the tool, takes forever, whatever the case may be. Now all of a sudden you have a very like fine-tuned method of doing this that is hyper specific to your use case, to your CRM, to your data, to all your marketing, right? And it's, I don't, whatever, I'm not going to go out of the way and say that it's like safe or anything like that. But again, if you have somebody, if you have that like AI engineer or that AI strategist that's in that position that understands it, yeah, you now have this safe method of deploying countless tools to your teams.
Yep. And like, and so if you're interested in checking it out, it's the update aptly called. And I'm pretty sure they're just letting the AI title its own updates at this point. Describe an app, deploy it to your portal. That is the name of the update. Um, uh, and to your point, like I was showing these other apps to a dev friend today as I was like just showing this like my God, like this is a huge deal, right? Because I had just done like what I've started doing And this is just that, like, everybody was paying attention to the vibe coding part of the hub code announcement back in March when like out of nowhere, but not to the surprise of no one, hopefully, Dharmesh drops a 12-minute video about how he's built some agent AI stuff and it's building stuff in HubSpot. And like the first thing he does is he builds an app card, but then without any mention of the fact that it hasn't ever been seen before, really. Like, oh yeah, you can make an app page too. And I was like, what? Like, what's an app page? I Slack Ryan, and he's like, oh yeah, here's the docs. They're like a week old, maybe. And like, so fast forward a little bit because I've built all of this infrastructure outside of HubSpot. Now, like, whoever thought I would have trouble like fitting everything in on this HubSpot marketplace dropdown? Uh, but I've been like creating this stuff, but this like requires that like code based architecture and like you like setting up the developer, management platform in HubSpot and coming in and pushing the install button, and even with my own apps getting like freaked out by the, are you sure you want to do this? Like just to the app that you just put in your own portal. It's like, yeah, let me take a look.
Right.
And to the point where today, like creating some videos and now putting videos and just adding documentation, right? This is not doing like so much of the examples out there are just doing what you can already do in your HubSpot portal in like a slightly different way. Like, oh, I
Right.
want to see reports like this instead of the way that they make me do it over here. Right? This is documentation. Like you really can't put it anywhere else that makes sense. You're paying for tools like Supered and like stuff like that to try and bring like context into the portal. By the way, Breeze can see all of this goodness and learn about your data model. But that still included the developer portal, right?
Mm-hmm.
This in 10 minutes, like built this content calendar piece, like another orange morning. All right, of course, I'll do it the right way. Look at the main page. No, hold on. Gotta go over here. But like as soon as I hit publish, right, it comes over to one of these pages, which is now content calendar for HubSpot updates, another orange morning, what's going on there? And again, this only can happen. That's the thing. Like I was telling the developer colleague, because he started freaking out a little bit. Like, well, when HubSpot like just makes it so easy to do my job, basically, is what he was saying.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, what are we gonna do? And I was like, what it takes to make this part good, most people are not even close to. That's data model, coaching. Like, how do you talk to Breeze in a way that's not going to just force it down a path that you're not going to get a really good result on because you've got this fresh report in your mind. You're like, I want you to use XYZ to report on this in this way.
Right.
Right. And
Mm-hmm.
you're going to get that, but are you going to be impressed by it? Or are you just going to be like, all right, good, that's done.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Right.
Oh, well, there's numbers. We should be fine.
Yeah. Like, is this good enough, sir? Okay, now I can move on to the rest of my job instead of like windmill slamming that shit on the CEO desk. Like, how is this? Is this the best way that I've ever answered this question for you before? Yes, it is. Right. Now let's like, what else can we build?
Not to mention the
Right.
fact that, initially, I got to say, I was a little thrown off by not just HubSpot, but other companies that were doing this, that were embedding, app builders within the applications themselves, because it was just like, well, come on, like, how are you going to directly compete with Replit, directly compete with XYZ? But at the same time, your average, I don't know. I don't want to say this because the numbers are starting to climb up there, but I would guesstimate that there are marketers, there's strategists, whomever that don't have the either connector access, like they could have a Claude account, they could have a GPT account. Maybe the org doesn't have it yet. Maybe the org does have it, but they don't have the connector or they don't allow for the access because of this, that, the other thing does not matter, right? And you're in a meeting, ideas are getting thrown around, somebody talks about something, you immediately pops in your head and you're just like, man, if only if I could just bust out the tool and just do this right now. Now, again, if I guess nothing should really be able to stop you because you should just whip out your phone, go into Claude Code and start doing it. But being able to again build it out in CRM, and I'm assuming that once this is done, it's shareable throughout the CRM with any other members or what. Yeah, so like the fact that you could sit in a meeting and this is all you have at your disposal, but you can still churn out something amazing by the time the meeting is over and share it with everybody that's in the meeting. I don't know, like people talk about ROI all the time, and it's like
Yeah.
it's really more about like, yeah, like again, it's
And
the
you
value,
move
right?
fast, right? Like it's never been easier to provide value at the exact moment in time that you need the value and everybody else will be receptive to the value. And like that, like this aside, I've been talking about that for with Breeze Assistant forever. Like you could be sitting in a meeting, seeing that the slide on the screen is not landing. Like give that slide to Breeze and say, hey, how can I put this in the like CFO is not digging it. Like help me explain this to the CFO. Like, can we put some CFO words on there? And it's really good at doing that. And how many times does that like cost the meeting that everybody got together for? And now, like, but we're cool humans, we're good humans. So we understand there's just something missing. And it's like, we'll give you another shot next week, but it's next week.
Right.
And like, are we as passionate about it? Is anybody as passionate about it next week except for
Does
you?
anybody remember it? Right.
Right. And like, it's just everything gets delayed and it's like the whole business world is built on that foundation of like we really need to be solving problems in the moment but we've never
Mhm.
been able to, so we build task lists and we try to prioritize and but now we can. And notwithstanding, all right, welcome to the AI curve here. Like this is a private beta and I'm excited about it working a couple times today without me trying very hard.
Right.
This third time looks like it's struggling a little bit. It's not gonna I am not sure it's gonna get to deliver.
Let's
And
do a
this
page
is
refresh. You never know. Could just be stuck.
yeah, but this is also the first time I've given it like something I thought hard about and like worked with Breeze. And this
Gotcha.
is also why it's not Claude Code.
Right.
It's not the vibe coding apps that are built for vibe coding. It is a CRM platform that has added a vibe coding experience to it,
Right.
right? That
Right.
still only has the HubSpot development language available to it to deliver, right? So when I like give it the softballs in the beginning because it's good at, giving me like some templates to work with, right? So I start there. It's like, yeah, it's going to go grab the CRM data and start to put it together. I'm sure, like, thanks Breeze for the effort and trying to make it a dream app. Well, we can't dream that big yet in HubSpot, right?
It'll get there.
Um, but we will learn on where the gap is and where the like where the limits are, and just start building around it. So takeaway here, it's in the platform. no additional cost to activate at the moment. Like, and just in the place where you put your context, it's just so easy to get started. It's getting easier and easier. Uh, so just dive in if you can get into this one. If you can't get into this one, start asking Breeze very similar questions, and you'll probably be surprised at the visuals that you start getting. That reminds me, like I think a couple days, George Thomas is doing a breeze focused webinar.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
and so check that out. He's got a couple HubSpot folks um, joining, and like Breeze Assistant is such a great example. Prior to a couple months ago, mm, and
It
then
was
all of a sudden, PhD City, like
right.
it started knocking your socks off, and like so, no shade at anybody that's like, oh, Breeze, like what? Come on, I've
Really.
used Breeze before, okay. Uh, and yeah, before that, like sure, like, but now, like, have you tried it lately? Like, come in and ask it anything right now about your portal and tell me it's not impressive, right? Like, that doesn't mean come in and like, ask for some ridiculous pivot table based report that has 5 filters over here. And like, that's not what you were asking for it before when you weren't impressed. Like, don't all of a sudden set this ridiculous bar, right? But like, come in and give it a try. And
Mhm.
so much of like a lot it's a lot of AI right now. It's just give it a try. Give it a
Yeah,
try.
you have to.
Um,
Yeah, you can't ignore it.
and like just the perspective, like have perspective. Like you remember that like Jurassic Park. I don't even
I
know what to
knew it
call it.
was. I was trying to remember if it was Jurassic Park or something else. Yeah.
It was, but there no, it was this YouTube video that was like showing the majestic Jurassic Park with a song in the background, and then it switched to like harmonica and like 3D, like T Rex that looked really shitty, like third rate Jurassic Park, not even third rate, like just
Right.
really bad. Trying to
Right.
compare it to like the real thing, right? So I am working on this project where AI is giving me some great art, like some great concepts, and I'm like, all right, we're gonna go hook up Blender, and I have no idea how
Yeah.
3D animation works, but I've heard cool things. There's some cool things on the Blender side. I'm just gonna get some agents going, and we're just gonna have some awesome, 3D experiences that I've never even smelled before. Like, and uh not the outcomes I was expecting. And so finally, I'm just like, hey, some can we just align here? Because I'm seeing great artwork, great concepts over here, and then you're saying it's done over here. And yeah, no, it's not. Uh and I guess I should like just let me just show that first. Because just so you can experience what I was experiencing. Um, let's see, we got Mirror Lab, right? Trying to create this mirror, like how AI native in my experience. And it's like, all right. And I keep asking, so when am I going to see the art?
Right.
Right. And it's like, show me the crossing. Right. And I'm just like, all right, it's going to be, it's like, oh, whoa.
Okay.
Like, all right. So then I'm like, all right, when's the art coming? Is that like the next, like you're saying, slice number 4? That's when we're gonna get it? Okay. All right. Well, go ahead and keep shipping, right? And like, all right. all right, so that's where the art's gonna go, obviously. So we're just getting ready. And then it keeps saying, yep, art's all shipped. And I'm like, all right, let's take a
All set,
step back.
ready to go, buddy.
Let's give me like let's do a storyboard. Like show me how you expect it to go. And I didn't even ask it to like check its work. This is the fun part, right? I just said, can you just give me a storyboard, a couple different motions of what you expect it to look like
Yeah.
based on the awesome concepts that you gave me, because you're not delivering that. Uh, and so it does a comparison effort at the same time. It's like, all right, target, we're looking at a mirror at the beginning. It's proven. Um, the question, what is true where you work? All right, flow gap, right? There is no art. It's still like 3D cells or whatever you call this, like stuff that you just put in place and then you layer, put the other stuff on it. See, this is how much of a animation expert I am. Um, but it starts to highlight its own gap. And like this, how can you not have fun with this part where I didn't ask it? I was just like, hey, there's some misalignment here.
Right.
And it said, all right, it wanted to know what the misalignment was too, basically. Um, and so then we get down to here, the crossing, watch it transform. Like, and that's what gives me the idea of like the Jurassic Park like comparison. Um, and uh like it knows enough to say this is the clearest measure of the art distance. Right. And then it keeps going and it's
Oh wow. Okay.
right. So you can see why I'm excited about the
Yes.
final results here.
Yes.
Right. But what I'm also like realizing as far as like I'm the one that forced Blender, right? Like
As
I
opposed to
said,
allowing
we're
it to
gonna use
do it with
Blender.
like GL or something like that, right?
Right. But also like it wouldn't it wouldn't be bad. Like, do I need the animation? Right? Or can I just treat it like a visual novel where it's just like seen? Like if the art works, right? If it looks cool, you can put it in places to make it feel like, all right, I'm in this scene now, and now I'm in this scene. And
Mhm.
you don't need a bunch of like I shouldn't let some really super awesome animation, like if I can't get there as quickly as everything else, like the fact that I don't have it shouldn't necessarily get in the way of me shipping like something else that I would have never been able to do before, right?
Yeah.
And now, so now, like now that we like level set the context, then I can get to um like this like scene by scene moment where it's like I'd like to walk the process with you one frame at a time because clearly like that's how we align. It's like I need to understand what's at each frame so we can um like I need to I've attempted to throw Fable at it. Like, all right, we did the planning and I thought that the tools were in place. I hired some more agents. And now like but that context that was created now puts us all in a spot to be like, all right, I know that if I put time into this piece and this part, all the other pieces and parts are there. This is the only part that's missing is like this concerted like design and architecture effort of the entire like flow, which is only 8 scenes, right? And there's a belief now, and I think this is missing in most because it's you don't measure it. Good luck measuring belief. Like I'm trying to do that for a little bit. Um, but like there's a belief now that I can get to the end of the 8 scenes through this process and know the result like will be great. Right.
Right.
versus just seeing that, oh, I tried to one shot it, didn't work. I guess we'll wait a few more months. Maybe AI will be ready to one shot it then.
No, no, we're not going to have to wait long at all. I mean, between, and even when it comes to like the whole dirty data, clean data thing, right? And the contextual awareness aspect of things, again, if you're smart, you've had this stuff running on your systems already for some time. And if you have, the smarter the models get, the easier it is for them to take everything into account. And everything is already, in a sense, pre-formatted for them to take into account. Like, I just got a new laptop, and so I had to install Codex and Claude and Kimmy, and it's crazy to me. Like, I don't know. It was almost like re-experiencing them or something like that. Like, you just see this flush of features, and like, hey, just so you know, it has all. It's almost like the Cheesecake Factory, right? It's just like, here's all the crazy shit that we can do. And I'm looking at GPT, and it's literally set up. Both GPT and Claude are now set up in such a way where it's just like, hey, do you need me to suck in all the information on your system and all the info that was on your other LLM? So if you need me to do that, I can do that too. Like, you just click this button and I'll go get all of that infos and assimilate that, and I'll be just as knowledgeable as the other guy, right? So that's onboarding. That's what onboarding your agents looks like now, which I got to be honest, like, we both know that when you build a new agent, you're just like, hey, there's the message board up there. Go introduce yourself to the rest of the gang. They'll tell you what's up. Grab yourself a jacket, get a punch card.
Dude, it still blows my mind, like how quickly I was able to bring on like the other half of us, I think 7-person gaming team now. And just the act of like, so these are the people, do you agree? And then it's like, yes. And then automatically Aegis, the chief of staff, comes in and sub agent runs the onboarding for the new agents, which includes them building their own expertise packs based on web research that is then grounded by some other agent, making sure they didn't just make shit up and make up links, which happens a lot. if you don't if you don't ask agents for evidence, they don't necessarily feel the need to give you evidence. Um, and again, a part of that learning curve. But when you can learn that and then set up the system around it, like right away, like they will take it into account if you ask them to take it into account. Right? Not necessarily if you don't. And if they do when you didn't, it probably won't be the way that you wanted them to take it into account. Um, and yeah, it's fun right now, man.
I mean, like, just, on the side, and it's got to be something that we get into tomorrow for sure. Um, we were talking about it, and it's like, I haven't gotten into it as deep as I need to. And the last time that I did play with it, I was doing it through Claude, and there's a Claude MCP connector. But I remember before the MCP connector, way back, like 6 to 8 months ago, I remember seeing this YouTube video of somebody hooking up ChatGPT and Blender and using ChatGPT to do stuff in Blender and to create objects and stuff. And so I'm like, man, there's no way that it's just Claude. Like, it's got to be another way. And if there's anybody that's going to figure it out, it's going to be Kimmy. Like, I don't know if you guys have seen this model yet. I've been using it for a while. Minimax, I'm still waiting for 3.5. I'm sure that's going to rear its head probably towards the end of this month. So like if I had to say what the timing was, I would say that GPT is always ahead. Legitimately, I think that they are always one model ahead, and we are always seeing one model behind. I don't think that's the case with Anthropic. I think they stay on whatever their high end is, and then they kind of release it when they feel safe because that just seems to be um, their whatever the pattern. And with Kimmy, it's like so between those two, they're really neck and neck because they kind of just feed off of one another in terms of who's going to release what. They even do it with videos. If OpenAI drops a video on YouTube, Anthropic drops a video like 20 minutes later or an hour later. It's ridiculous how much these two like just brother sister fight back and forth, or just sibling fight, whatever you want to call it. So Kimmy out of Singapore. Now you got to remember, DeepSeek's out of China. DeepSeek 4 drops, not even close to where these guys are at, right? If you're looking at the leaderboards, nowhere close. Grok 4.5 drops. It's in the ballpark, right? If you're in the bar, you're all the way in the back and Grok just walked in the door, right? So like it's not terrible. And then there's Gemini, right, which is like actually hanging out at the door with Grok, which is weird, but we still haven't seen 3.5 Pro, so we don't know yet. And then Kimmy comes out of nowhere and it's like, hey, that dude just went straight in past you to VIP. And the timing on Kimmy is like maybe a month tops. I was wondering like what they were waiting for exactly. Singapore isn't exactly like huge, super heavy on like regulations, let's say, same as us, I suppose, same level. Safety wise, I got to imagine that it's as safe as it gets considering it's an open source model. So if anybody was going to find an exploit, they would. That's the major difference. So if you're wondering like, what's the big deal? What's the big difference? Why is it such a big deal? It's not, I shouldn't say it's open source, it's open weight. So like if you were going to, which is essentially like saying, hey, here's the entirety of the logic behind how our system works, right? This is exactly how every single decision gets made within the system, right? And that's pretty much, that's the moat for LLM companies. That's the moat, is like our model thinks this way, those guys' model thinks that way, these people's model thinks this way. Like that's the moat for them. It's got nothing, like if you think it has anything to do with performance, it doesn't. They're all at the same performance level now. Everybody's in the same club. They used to be in the same country, then they were in the same state, and this is how much it's jumped. They went from the same state to the same city, and then from the same city to the same club, right? And now they're about to just like go out back and sit at a high top together, basically, right? So like by December, it won't matter what you're using, right? But this model, I don't know, it's something else. It's to me, it's like the difference between using Mac and PC. Like how Mac has like a little bit more creativity to it. Like Kimmy has a little bit even more creativity to it than Claude, which is maybe why it does better with like the 3D, like handling 3D environments and stuff. But yeah, that's what I was doing. I was like, all right, like while you're doing that, I'm just asking Kimmy and I'm like, hey, I've got Blender installed. What can we do? Can you connect to it? How can you connect to it? What can we do if you can connect to it? It's like, yeah, let me just go write this Python script and I'll connect to that right away.
Yeah. Oh, it's always interesting to think about, like, especially like what would have been like if I hadn't worried about the concept and didn't plan, just be like, go use Blender and do something cool. Right? Like usually in those cases, pleasantly surprised. I mean, it helps that you didn't set any expectations besides make it look cool. But the chances that you give it constraints and they're like competing constraints where it's like 2D art, 3D tools in this environment. I have nothing else to work with in your context architecture so far. And if anything, I'm going to look at that and try to apply it to the 3D aspects. I talked a little bit about that yesterday with like B2B website versus like video game experience. Um, but as we close up, I need to like it looks like the agents are vying. Baldwin, I think, is the one that puts this together. Because you said a couple of the we mentioned film yesterday, I think, right? So
Yeah.
13-minute sci-fi horror short made entirely within the Seed Dance 2.0 video model.
Yep. Not surprising.
Uh, we got China doing stuff with 29 other countries. Apparently, that the US is not the only country that wants to govern AI. I'm surprised there. And then Google ships Gemini 3.6, Flash, a cheaper new workhorse model. Google DeepMind released 3 new Gemini models on July 21st. That's today. This is interesting, like having a show at the end of the day, and then we get to like enjoy some
Right.
of the news. 3.5 flash light and a security tuned 3.5 flash cyber with 3.6 flash, promising stronger coding and multimodal work while cutting token usage up to 17% and undercutting its predecessor on price. Conspicuously absent was the delayed Gemini 3.5 Pro, which Google says is still in partner testing. The drop keeps pressure on rivals in the high volume, low cost model tier. Every day, man. Every day, new models.
And I can't even wait to see what's awesome is that you can actually like do them side by side, right? Like throw a prompt into 3.5 and then throw one into 3.6 and see what the difference is. And with Flash, it's like you're seeing what the difference is within milliseconds, right?
Yep.
Always
Another day, another model. I do look forward. I'm gonna put you up to showing us Kimmy tomorrow. I've had a couple days to show my wares. We'll leave it to you tomorrow. Show us what's up with Kimmy.
will do.
Even if it's just like show me how to use Blender. Like I know a ton of people will get value out of that. So until next time, we hope everybody has a great rest of your Tuesday. See you later.